Hello folks, welcome back to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. Hi. I know I should say something about the World Cup, but it needs a little thought and I'll go into that in the next video. Right now let's finish the thing about the assault or war against Hinduism. I've said before, Congress is another word for Muslim League, sworn to turn India into an Islamic country. I said every law they've made, including insertion into the constitution, pro-Muslim, anti-Hindu, including a Hindu civil code, not a uniform civil code. Well, let's go a little deeper into it. One, the Places of Worship Act, 1991. You know what that means? All such these things are frozen as per August 15, 1947. Who loses? Hindus and Hindu temples. Now you keep saying the British came here and said the Mughals taught us architecture. Why? There are no Hindu temples, nothing. Why? Because the first things they did, the Mughals, they broke all the temples down, took them apart and put up mosques in their place. So how do you get any Hindu temples from the past? You want to see Indian architecture? Go south. You'll see any number of temples, superbly made, superbly done, centuries old, even millennia. So don't tell us that somebody from abroad taught us architecture. We knew all that long before they came. We were already a civilized community and a civilized nation long before the Mughals or the British came here. However, be that as it may, why this sudden outburst from Mr. Udayanidhi Stalin that Hinduism is a disease or something like COVID-19, cholera, typhoid, or malaria? It's to be exterminated. Why? I'll tell you why. This is a total all-out war against Hindus and Hinduism. Let me explain. Why did Christianity and Islam take hold in the Middle East? Because there was nothing else. Anything that was forced on them, they did. They took up. Christianity, not to the same extent, but Islam was spread by fire and sword. I don't care what they say that, oh no, you can only discuss and convince people that way. No, even today, it's the fire and sword method, love jihad, threats, or things like this. All sorts of ways. Inducements, bribery, monetary gain, and so on. However, why are they trying to cut Hinduism from the very roots of our society? To make sure there is nothing so that all other religions can take over, be it Islam or Christianity. I don't know what the DMK has against Hinduism. I really don't. Probably because most of them are not Hindus. And then he qualifies the caste system. I mean, what the hell does he know? What is a caste? He doesn't. Most people in this country don't. Oh yes, it's evil. It's like this. Lohars are the blacksmiths. You have another group people called the goldsmiths or the silversmiths. That is a caste. The Chettiars are money lenders, just like the Mahajans or the Saukar group in northern India. They deal money, which is what the Jews used to deal with in Europe. Money lending, which is also known as usury. There's so many such castes. A caste is simply a group of people engaged in a particular business or practice. That's all. It is not higher or lower. Even today you have a caste system, whether it's in Europe, the US or anywhere else. Except here you call it a union or you call it a hierarchy. That's all. And a hierarchy or a group is necessary to run any community, even any household. Try running even your own home without it. You can't. Unless there's only one person in it. You try and understand this. Why, for instance, okay, the Dalits are not allowed in Hindu temples and so on. Why? The answer I found in Aberdeen, in the churchyard, where a doctor and his wife and 3 kids had died in a cholera epidemic in Madras, which is now known as Chennai. They were pickled in vinegar and sent back there for burial. Why does that happen? It's like this: when you go into a company, there are certain expectations from you, and you have certain expectations from the company. If you don't like it, or they fall short, or you fall short, you part company. And this is what has happened. The Dalits, as you call it, work in menial jobs, yes. The upper so-called castes or groups insist you must clean up before you come and see us socially, which they refuse to do. Because they keep saying, nah, it's only such a small thing. And yet, all the so-called upper castes go to the temples, clean, proper habits and everything else, and these guys go in. Your immediate source of infection of any disease that's going by. So why should they not keep them separate? They do. Until that group starts cleaning up their act. Only then can they come in and join this group. In the same way, well, call it a political party, call it a kingdom, call it a village society, or call it anything you like, there has to be a hierarchy. Try running it without. Okay, a political party, there's a president of the party. There's a leader of the house. There's a leader of the parliamentary or Lok Sabha or Vidhan Sabha. There's a leader of the opposition. Why? Is that not a hierarchy? Your bank employees, white collars, is that not a hierarchy? Blue collar, factory workers, another hierarchy. Unionization. What do you think that is? They're all castes or hierarchy. You want to eradicate it? Mr. Stalin, this is going back to Weishaupt and his concept of communism. Destroy all norms. No marriages. Women belong to everybody. I mean, what? What kind of society is that? You call that civilization? I don't. And this is what you're advocating? Now please, get me straight, get me right. When you say something, you are a political entity. You have a certain following. For heaven's sake, grow up and act responsibly. There's no need to make stupid remarks of this nature. Because everybody is going to go in a different direction. And Hindus, for 75 years, have had no access to anywhere where they can learn about their own religion. Except maybe the RSS, maybe from Sanatan Dharma. You want to eradicate that. Why? And then you call this a secular country? And you call yourself secular? Now when the government talks about a uniform civil code, why are you against it? Why do states resist it? They have no right to. Did Nehru ask the states, will you mind if we enforce a Hindu civil code? No. It came in from the center. It is applicable to every state. They have to follow it. That's what the center or the central government is for. Let's get that straight. And if they don't, then that government doesn't deserve to govern. There are no two ways about it. Let's be quite honest. So, if a uniform civil code, every state in this country has to accept it. Yes, whether you have a matriarchal system, the woman takes over in place of the male. Okay, that's fair enough. But you cannot say, no, we live a totally different lifestyle, a different civil code. You cannot say that. No. If you do, you're a separate country, and that is not permissible under any circumstances. You're a part of India, you will remain a part of India. Or rather, Bharat. And the strange thing is, when Mr. Udayanedi Maran came out with this statement totally against Hinduism, all your I.N.D.I.A. group kept absolutely silent. Why? I mean, why are you remaining quiet? And you call this a secular country? Where is secularism? And where are minorities being targeted? They're not. It's the majority group that is being targeted, kicked, stomped on, messed up totally. And it's about time they stopped. They're the ones who pay the taxes to keep most of you going. I think they have a right to some fair play and decent treatment. Now then, coming back to this, why is there such an absolutely planned, vehement attack against Hinduism? What have Hindus done? They have been targeted by all sorts of groups, especially Muslims, and in the south, Muslims and Christians. Why? Hinduism is the oldest religion there is. Why did it survive? How did it manage to survive? Whether it's Islam, whether it's Christianity, different rules, different foreigners coming in, taking over, imposing their will on us. Why? Are they so intolerant that they cannot stand somebody else who is slightly different? Hinduism is democracy, working democracy for more than 1,000 years, or maybe 3 or 4 millennia. You can worship whichever way you want. You can create your own gods. You can do what you like. But please, there are certain laws which you have to live under and obey those laws, which is your civil code. Now keep religion and state or the civil code separate. They are separate entities. Let's get that straight. And you better understand this. Because without that understanding, the whole system breaks down. Why is it that Islam and Christianity are so intolerant of anybody and anything else? Again, this goes back to the old, we want to be like white man, like the white British. Mughals spared no pains. They took all sorts of pains to get people to convert, or they were either destroyed or driven out. Now Nehru knew this. That's why in 1947 at partition he said, those Muslims who want to stay can stay. Then why did we have partition at all? He knew, he must have known. In Iran, which was then a Zoroastrian country, or Parsi faith, they let in a few Muslims. Within 30 years, that was an Islamic country. All Parsis were either converted forcefully, or killed, or driven out. Quite a few of them came into Gujarat. Most Parsis in India still speak Gujarati also. Testament to that. Why? Why is it that they must be top dog, everybody must be like them? Why? It's a pretty dull world where everybody is exactly the same. It doesn't make sense. That is why Hinduism was so democratic. Diversity was necessary, an essential part of life, of our civilization. Now whether you like it or not, doesn't matter really. Because let's be quite honest. Without that diversity, as I said, the world would be a very dull place. Now, you see most Islamic countries, no sport, they're not supposed to have music. What do? So they pray 5 times or 10 times a day. And they keep producing children. What else do they do? I mean, I ask you, what else do they have? It's like groups that say you cannot discuss social problems, you cannot discuss religious problems, and you cannot discuss politics. What else is there? May I ask you that? Can you give me an answer? What else is there? Because wherever you look, you will find this. Social, political, religious. You can't get away from those things. Let's get that straight. Try it. Or you can say sport. There's politics even in sport. There are religious biases. A whole lot of things. And there's social problems too. Like it or not, they happen. Now let's be quite fair in all this. People in India didn't mind. And I think it was Harvard or Yale which came out with this, that once Muslims get to about 15% of the population, they start making all sorts of demands. It started in India. Why? They're 15 to 18% of our population. Hijab. Halal certification. Why should the whole country have to have halal certification? Most of us don't give a damn. We don't care. But why must we all come under that? And there's a big hue and cry because in UP they banned this halal certification. Most of it is illegal anyway. The UP government or the government of India has not sanctioned it. It's not done by a government body. There is no law that says it has to be done, and yet they insist. Is this Sharia law, a parallel penal code, come into existence on the quiet? Do we need a secondary set of laws which are totally removed and unknown to most other people? No, we don't. Now you understand why I keep telling people, please, especially you Congress folk, grow up. We don't need scum of this nature governing us. You either grow up, get educated, be liberal, be decent in your outlook, instead of favoring Muslims and kicking Hindus. When the Hindus are your majority, they're the ones who pay most of your taxes. And they're the ones you keep looting. And you still want to kick them? Or do you still insist that if you're Muslim, you don't have to pay them or treat them with any respect? If you don't want to treat us with the respect we deserve and need and require, please get out of this country. You don't belong here. There are laws here, obey them, stay within them. Otherwise, let the law take its course. Whether you're Hindu or Muslim or Christian, that shouldn't matter. You mess about, you pay for it. And any government that starts shielding these particular groups, like Muslims are shielded in places like Rajasthan, I think it's about time that government was removed forcefully if necessary, even before their 5 years. I'm sorry, there's no room for that kind of rubbish here. Now, let's get on with the rest of it. Not very much longer, but let's get hold of this constitution have a good look at it and correct it where needed. If we're a secular country, we're all equal, we come under one uniform civil code. You want only a Hindu civil code here? All Muslims out. We cannot have a Sharia law as well. We cannot have an IPC or penal code, whichever, including the new one, for all land deals, and a Sharia code for land. You cannot, I'm sorry, this is not on. That Sharia Act, what is it? Sorry, the Waqf Act 1995 has to be scrapped immediately, and so should the Waqf Board be scrapped. It has to be. Is there one like this in Pakistan to protect Hindus? No. Why is it here? I mean, this is handing over the whole of India to Muslims, free of charge. So where do Hindus go? Remember one thing, as somebody has said, war in Ukraine means there are a whole lot of refugees. They could go into Poland, into Belarus, into Donetsk. They could go into Hungary and such places. Where do we go? When Hindus are in a corner, west is Pakistan, east is Bangladesh, north is China, waiting to swallow us up, and to the south is the Indian Ocean. So where do we go? You wonder about that? So wake up, Hindus, wake up, India or Bharat. Let's get back our own identity and stand up. Anybody who tries to threaten us that way, by cutting at our very roots, should be removed. They are the disease or the virus or the COVID-19 type thing that should be exterminated. Not Hinduism, but the people who are trying to remove it. Thanks, folks. Sorry, I may sound a little emotional, but it's something I've watched over 6 or 7 decades. And I've been having to watch it, and it hurts me to see that this sort of thing, this sort of rubbish people actually get away with. Now you understand why the Congress has been keeping people uneducated. Schools only on paper, like the forest scam. The school scam is another one, which has been going on since 1947. Oh yes, we spent all this money. Where is it gone? Into some congressman's pocket. Or his friends or his relatives' pocket. It has not gone into education. Well, folks, remember, we have nowhere to run. We have nowhere to find or take refuge. We have to sit here, dig our heels in, put our backs up against the wall, and fight like hell. And if you don't, well, I feel sorry for you. You don't belong here either. Thanks, folks. Please, if you like it, subscribe. Pass on to your friends, your groups, and their groups, ask them to pass it on too. But please, pay attention to this one. Without Hinduism, this country will either be Islamic or Christian. And I don't think either one of them is good enough, because they're both very intolerant of anybody else. Ciao.